Namah Parvati Pataye Govindanam Sankirtanam.
Okay. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Ugram Veeram Mahavishnum Jwalantam Sarvatomukam Nrsimham Bhishanam Badram Mrityor Namamyaham Haralilavataraya Shankaraya Mahaujase Kaivalya Kalana Kalpatarave Gurave Namaha. Greetings to all, and this is a very auspicious and very important day today, being Lakshmi Nrsimha Jayanthi. So the story is very familiar, but then I'll try to add a few points which I've learned from other Upanyasams. So let's this thing start. So Prahlada, Narasimha and Prahlada are very interconnected. There is no they are like the two stories. They match so well and so beautifully. But before we get to Prahlada itself, let's go back to our Moolam, which is Ramayana and Mahabharatam. So there is a reference in Ramayana where Rama says, he's on this side of the ocean. He's still in Bharat Varsha. They have to make a plan to go to Lanka, and and Rama is sitting there and he's praying for Varuna Deva, the sea god, to calm down, so to give way. So at which point of time Rama gets, he gets a little angry, and then he says that he doesn't actually give off to anger. But then this is one time where he's really angry, and then he says that he can destroy Ravana with his bare hands. Why should he even assemble the whole Vanara Sena? He can destroy him with his bare hands, especially with his fingers. Now, how is it that Kshatriya, especially someone like Rama, who is, who follows the rules to the T, suddenly he forget everything, and then he says, because a Kshatriya is not allowed to use his hands in the battlefield. He's supposed to use only his weapons. How does Kshatriya like Rama forget his battle code and resort to such an action? That's the first thing. Now let's skip from one Moolam to the other Moolam, which is the Mahabharatam. Rukmani Devi, she says that she wants to marry Krishna, but her marriage is arranged with Shishupala. Rukmani doesn't want to get married to him. So what she does is, they are in Mathura and Krishna is in Dwaraka. So she sends a message using a Brahmana. She sends a message to Dwaraka, and then he hands over this letter to Krishna. And Krishna there, in that letter, it says that just like how you came out from a pillar to save Prahlada, why don't you come and save me? Why don't you remember your previous avatar and come and save me, is what Rukmani says. So as you can see, Rama, who has lived for so many thousands, for so many years actually, okay, in that one instance, he remembers a very small instance of his previous avatar. Krishna, in Krishna's, in the Mahabharata, Krishna has done so many, wondrous feats. But then for that one instance, he remembers once again, or there's a reference to his previous avatar here. So this implies the importance of Narasimha. Okay, Raghava Simha in the Ramayana and Yadava Simha in the Mahabharata remember their elder avatars when they have to convey a very, very important thing actually. That is the impact of Narasimha. All right. So this is a famous Vigraham of Narasimha at Hampi. Hampi used to be the capital of the Vijayanagar kingdoms, and Krishnadevaraya was one of the most prominent kings. And so he designed this Lakshmi. This is supposed to be a Lakshmi Narasimha. Okay. So let's get to the story. So the story is, you had these two brothers, Hiranyaksha and Hiddenkashapu. Hiranyaksha, both of them are very powerful asuras who have sought out immortality, or they want Amritam, and they have been denied Amritam, but instead they have been made very, very powerful. They have been given varams by by Brahma and by Shiva Peruman, and then they have become very, very powerful. And as usual, as someone who becomes very powerful, they actually becomes very arrogant also. So Hiranyaksha meets his end as with Vishnu through his Varaha avatar, Varaha Peruman avatar. Now Hiranyakashipu is very angry, and then he says that he prays to Brahma to seek out immortality. And then Brahma says, no, I can't give you this one. So Hiranyakashipu, he comes up with multiple conditions. He says that I cannot die from any weapon. There should be no man, animal, or deva or ashura. And then he names a lot of species. Okay, and then he says all these people cannot kill me. He cannot die inside the house or outside the house. He cannot die during the day or night. Okay, and finally he gives Brahma is he's really worried. What is this guy is asking me all kinds of varams, and it's almost impossible to kill him. Then he puts a final condition. He says this is like a blanket condition. Anything that you have created should not be able to, you should not be able to kill me. Now this Brahma says, okay, tatastu, because Brahma Deva knows that there is a person above him, sitting above him, so that person will be able to handle such a kind of situation. All right. So now, while Brahma is while Hiranyakashipu is praying to Brahma, he is like all his rigorous prayers are going on. Indra, he feels very insecure. Indra, although he is the king of the devas, he feels very insecure, and then he tries to kill Kayatu. Kayatu is Hiranyakashipu's wife, and she's pregnant. He wants to ensure that that there's no more Ashura who's born who is a threat to Indra. Okay, so this is what is Indra's plan. But then at the very crucial moment, Narada intervenes. Okay, Narada says you cannot kill this lady. Okay, because first of all she's soon to be mom, and such a kind of a papam will be very harmful to you. And at the same time, she is also under the protection of Vishnu. So no matter what you try, you can use your Vajrayudham. It will not be of any effect. So Indra, he agrees to whatever Narada says, and then Narada takes Kayatu to his ashram, where this boy Prahlada he is born, and as he is born, he hears the name of Sri Hari. And Narada, being a great Upanyasakar, he teaches him a lot of stories. Okay, all the previous avatars, all the future avatars, everything. Narada knows everything, so he gives him the full knowledge to this little boy Prahlada. And Prahlada's bhakti towards Sriman Narayana is a fantastic example of how bhakti should actually be defined. All right. Anyways. So a couple of years go by. So Prahlada is around 6 years old, and then they return back to Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu is very powerful right now, and he has conquered a lot of the Devas' land actually. And then Hiranyakashipu at one point of time he decides, and then he says, okay, he'll be a good father, and then he decides to send Prahlada to Shukracharya's sons for his further education. Now it turns out that Prahlada's bhakti is so great that he is actually started to teach the Ashuras over there the importance of Sriman Narayana. And whatever lessons that the Shukracharya's children want to teach him is all gone. Okay, Shukracharya himself has gone, because that's another story by itself, but we'll come to that later. Okay. So then what happens is so Shukracharya's sons, they come and tell Hiranyakashipu that we have tried everything possible, but we are not able to convince, we are not able to make Prahlada understand your importance. Instead, he seems to be praying to your enemy, who is Sri Hari. So then the father tries to convince the son, perhaps a little gently, but then when that doesn't happen, he understands that this guy has to be removed. Prahlada has to be removed. So he subjects him to all kinds of torture. Okay, he tries to have him trampled by elephants, but the elephants do not, come close to Prahlada at all. Then he tries to poison him. When he tries to poison him, Garuda's influence prevails, and all the snakes they slowly they go away. Then he tries to throw him out from a mountain, but somehow the Vayu Deva gently supports him and brings him down. Okay, so no matter what, and then they have a sister by the name of Holyoka. Holyoka has a varam that she cannot be burnt. So when so what she will do is she'll say that I'll put this boy to sleep, and then you set fire around me, everything will burn, including the boy, and I'll be safe. So this is what Holyoka says. But unfortunately, what happens is Sudarshan Chakram is there to protect Prahlada, and he takes care of and Sudarshana takes care of him, and there's so much of heat generated from Sudarshana that this lady is burnt. Holyoka is burnt. And finally, Hiddenkashapu has no other choice, so he says, "I will do it myself." And and he, in a fit of rage, he says, "Where is your Sri Hari? Ask him to come and fight with me." And then he points out, and this boy says, "Sri Hari is everywhere. He is in every small molecule of of existence." So he says, "Okay, fine, easy there in this pillar." He points at one of his pillars. And the story goes that in one of the Upaniyasams, they've said that this pillar was actually one of Hiranyakashipu's favorite pillar, and he was there when the construction was happening. So he was sure that nobody is there inside the pillar. So he takes a large gada, mace, and he breaks open the pillar. Okay, and from that, inside the pillar, a strange person emerges. Okay, and he has half his the head upwards is the face of a lion, and the lower part is that of a man. Okay, so the first condition of Brahma is slowly bypassed, wherein he has asked for that Hiranyakashipu has asked for that he should not be killed by any man or a deva or a ashura. But the person who has emerged is like half man and half I mean, I shouldn't use the word animal, but then half deva. Okay, and then Hiranyakashipu, Nrsimha drags Hiranyakashipu to the entrance of the of their house. Okay, and so this is neither inside the house nor outside the house. He puts him on his thighs, which is neither on Swargalogam or Bhumi Logam, but he's on his thighs. And what about for his fingers? Okay, for the because Hiranyakashipu has a varam that he cannot be killed by any weapon. So Nrsimha uses his nails, which cannot be considered as weapons, and cleaves him open. Okay, and then afterwards, he's in a great fit of anger. So even Brahmadeva is like, he's unable to approach him. So he says he pushes the little boy, which is Prahlada, to calm him down. Nrsimha immediately he calms down actually on seeing this little boy. Okay, so he calms down, and then he asks him, whatever boon you want, you go ahead and you ask me. So Prahlada, in his this is where the greatness of Prahlada is there. In his humility, he says, "You might have any anger towards my father, but please, forgive him and ensure moksham to him." Nrsimha says, "Okay, fine, take it. Ask something for yourself." Prahlada says, "Next time when you come here and ask me, I should not be selfish to give me that humility. So I am not selfish enough to come and ask you, for anything." Nrsimha is extremely this thing. He's so happy, and then he says, "Okay, fine. I will give you. You are not going to ask, so I will give something on my own." He says, "No, any descendant, not any your children or your grandchildren or anybody in your family will always be under my protection. Nothing will happen nothing harmful will happen to them from my side. And I will take one boon from you." Nrsimha is taking a boon from his devotee. He says, "I will take your name. Let the people be identified by, let them know me from you." Okay, so he says, "Prahlada Varadan." Okay, so this is the wonderful thing between Nrsimha and Prahlada. Now the story continues a bit. Okay, the problem is Lakshmi Devi is not very happy. For her, she considers everybody to be her children. Okay, so she considers Hiranyakashipu as bad as he is to be her child, Hiranyaksha as bad as he is to be his child, and Prahlada also to be her child. So she says that you should have found a way. Nrsimha should have found a way so that this child is not, her child who is Hiranyakashipu is not killed. And at the same time, Prahlada also to be protected. So she gets very angry. So Narasimha assures her that in the future avatars, okay, that he will give them sufficient chances, okay, and then he will execute them only when they have left him with no other choice. That's why in Rama Avataram he gives Ravana sufficient chances. Rama gives Ravana sufficient chances. When he is without his weapons, he says, Indra poi nalaiva, come back tomorrow, get all your weapons and come back once again. He gives him at least 1 or 2 chances. As when Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha are born as Shishupala and Dantavakra, Krishna gives him at least 100 chances. He allows Shishupala to insult him at least 100 times, perhaps even more. Okay, and only on the 100th time he picks up his Sudarshana Chakram. So this is the some of this thing. This is as per Bhagavata Puranam and Vishnu Puranam. These are some of the stories. Now let's proceed more to Kali Yugam. There are a lot of temples. Narasimha is celebrated in lots of temples in South India. Of course, there are a couple of temples in North India also, but large amount he has been extremely celebrated, worshipped, and prayed here down in the south. One of the famous temples where he is celebrated is at Srirangam. Srirangam, he is the Vigraham there is called as Shodasha Bahu Narasimha. Narasimha with 16 arms. Okay, each arm will hold a weapon. And Srirangam has a very famous incident also where Kambar, when he writes his Ramayanam, he presents his Ramayanam first at Srirangam, and some of the acharyas there, they have a doubt actually whether this is as good actually as Kambar claims. And then immediately there is a garjana, there is a loud a roar from within the Narasimha Sannidhi, and they all understand that Narasimha himself has given the approval for Kambar Ramayanam to be read at Srirangam. And Kambar, and you can even today also you can go and see that there is a mandapam over there where it says that this is the place where the first Arangetram of Ramayanam even took place. So make sure that the next time you go to Trichy to visit Srirangam, there are so many small Sannidhis over there. Each of them will tell its own story. So please make sure that you visit. Again at Srirangam, very close to this is Chakratalvar Sannidhi. Chakratalvar is Sudarshana Chakram, and if you see here, on one side you will have Sudarshana, on the other side you will have Narasimha sitting in Yogam. Usually this Narasimha will have 4 hands. Okay, he might have more, but then usually it is 4, and each hand will hold a chakram. Okay, and look very carefully, he'll have 3 eyes, Mukkannan, Narasimha Mukkannan. Just like how Shivaperuman has 3 eyes, Narasimha also has 3 eyes. One represents Surya, one represents Chandra, and the third represents Agni. Okay. Now let's go to another temple. Another very famous temple is Namakkal. Namakkal is about 2 hours away from Trichy. Again, close by. Beautiful temple. Namakkal temple is actually the general thing is that there is a Hanuman temple which is over there. Another very famous temple, but just opposite to the Hanuman temple, you have Narasimha temple. A lot of Sannidhis are there, very beautiful place. And this temple is, if you see, if this is the mountain, the Namakkal mountain, the temple is built like this. So you cannot actually go, you cannot do a pradakshanam around it. If you have to do a pradakshanam, you have to do a pradakshanam fully around the mountain, because the vigrahams are on the face of the mountain, and the temple is built like this actually. Okay. And there are actually 3 vigrahams. The center vigraham is Lakshmi Narasimha, and on one side you have Varaha Peruman, and on the other side you have Vamana and Trivikrama. Vamana growing up to become Trivikrama. Okay. Unfortunately, these days they're not allowing people to go there. So that's another, I hope that, in the future that they allow people to go inside and you will be able to have darshan of all the 3 vigrahams. Anyhow, Narasimha here, if you see, he has golden earrings. If you ask the Pujari, he will be able to tell this the Sthala Puranam and the various the various agamas behind this vigraham. So you will see that he has 4 earrings. the 4 earrings actually represent the 4 Sanat Kumaras. So he is sitting there, and the Sanat Kumaras, they travel all over the world and gather the news, and then they supply to it. So that is the representation. Very beautiful, all these small things. It will be good if you can observe this. And just around, if you were to travel right around this mountain, there is a Ranganathar who is on top of the mountain. There's a Ranganatha temple which is on top of the mountain. It's a short climb. You can go up there, and there the speciality is Ranganathar is in Shainam, not on Adisesha but on Karkotaka. Okay, so that's a question for all of you. I'll ask that at the end. Where did you come across this Karkotakan? Okay, and quickly, the other last temple which I wanted to talk about is in Andhra. This is a place called Ahobilam. Okay, and Ahobilam is actually supposedly the place where Nrsimha has actually made his first appearance. Okay, there are 9 Nrsimha temples. Okay, very, very beautiful place all along the Nallamala hill range. 5 of them are at the base and 4 of them are on top. This will be an excellent trip, if you were to take, if you and your families were to travel there. And there is one particular temple which is called as Karanja Nrsimha, where Nrsimha appears to Hanuman as Rama. Okay, so he also has 3 eyes, and then he's actually holding a bow. He's holding the Kodandam. That's this thing speciality. It's a beautiful place. You should visit. So with this I conclude, and if you have any questions you can ask me, and at the same time let me quickly play one of Periyava's stotrams. So Lakshmi Nrsimha Pancha Ratnam.
It's not playing there. Husband can hear.
Are all of you able to hear this stotram?
No, we cannot.
No, we can't hear you.
You can't hear.
Yeah.
Okay.
When you share, maybe you have to share using, there is a button share audio. You just have to click that.
Okay, 1 second, please. Okay. New share, advanced sharing options.
No. We are going to share. There are more. Share sound. Share sound.
Lakshmi Nrsimha Pancharatna Stotram.
Are you able to hear now?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Tvatprabhujiva priyamichhasi chen narahari pujam kuru satatam. Tvatprabhujiva priyamichhasi chen narahari pujam kuru satatam. Pratibimbalankriti dhriti kushalaha bimbalankriti matanute. Cheto bhranga bhramasi vritha bhavamaruhu virasayam. Bhaja bhaja Lakshmi Nrsimhanaka Padasarasasi Jamakarandam. Suktau Rajata Pratibhajata Katakadyartha Samartha Cheti Dukkhamayite Samsruti Resha Nirvratidane Nipuna Syati. Cheto bhranga bhramasi vritha bhavamaruhu virasayam. Bhaja bhaja Lakshmi Nrsimhanaka Padasarasi Jamakarandam. Akriti samyat shalmali kusume sthala nalinatva bhramamakaroho gandharasa viha kimu vidyete vipalam bhramyasi bhrashavirasesmin. Akriti samyat shalmali kusume sthala nalinatva bhramamakaroho गन्धरसाविह किमु विद्येते विफलं भ्राम्यसि भृशविरसेऽस्मिन् चेतो भृङ्गभ्रमसि वृथा भवमरुभूमौ विरसायां भज भज लक्ष्मी नरसिंहानखपदसरसिजमकरन्दम् स्रक्चन्दनवनितादीन् विषयान् सुखदान् मत्वा तत्र विहरसे गन्धफली सदृशा ननुतेमि भोगानन्तरदुःखकृतस्युः स्रक्चन्दनवनितादीन् विषयान् सुखदान् मत्वा तत्र विहरसे गन्धफली सदृशा ननुतेमि भोगानन्तरदुःखकृतस्युः चेतो भृङ्गभ्रमसि वृथा भवमरुभूमौ विरसायां भज भज लक्ष्मी नरसिंहानघ पदसरसिजमकरन्दम् तव हितमेकं वचनं वक्ष्ये तव हितमेकं वचनं वक्ष्ये शृणु सुखकामो यदि सततम् शृणु सुखकामो यदि सततं स्वप्ने दृष्टं सकलं हि मृषा जाग्रदपि स्मर तद्वदिति स्वप्ने दृष्टं सकलं हि मृषा जाग्रदपि स्मर तद्वदिति चेतो भृङ्गभ्रमसि वृथा भवमरुभूमौ विरसायां भज भज लक्ष्मी नरसिंहानघपदसरसिजमकरन्दम् लक्ष्मी नृसिंह पंचरत्नम संपूर्णम।